All right, so we're going to go into the next phase of our life sciences trends analysis, and so I'm here in the shared drive again. I'm going to click on life science trends data. I'm going to go to life science trend data, second quarter 2015, and here's our table of contents. So I'm going to start with the raw data. So this is the SDC data, so which will be pulled in by the managing director. So Life Science M&A 2Q 2015. Click this open, and it's just loading. Okay, so you'll see, 60, 70 or so transactions here that SDC has categorized as life science. We also have another source, which is FactSet. So FactSet, if you click on FactSet merger, life science M&A data 2Q 2015 FactSet, click that open. So there's a similar sort of list, a little bit more transactions, but uh, you're going to use both of these. And I'm going to open M&A in the M&A file, Life Science M&A 2Q 2015 consolidated. So if you look at this file here, we are on the consolidated tab right now, but you'll notice an SDC tab, a FactSet tab, and a Capital IQ or a CIQ tab next to the consolidated tab is the final one on the right. Um, what you can do here is you can take the SDC data, copy it, paste it into this consolidated file, relabel it for the new quarter. That way you have a copy for the new quarter. And you can do the same for the FactSet data. And you will do a screen for the Capital IQ transactions. That'll be your third source and check. And you'll run a Capital IQ transaction screen for closed deals in life sciences for the relevant quarter that you are working on. So similar to the financing, you're going to go through all of this data, um, making sure the appropriate columns are filled out. You're going to obtain more thorough descriptions than SDC or FactSet have, and you're going to try to find all of the relevant financial uh, data for enterprise value, equity value, and EBITDA, EBIT, and so forth. Um, After you do you're going to do your analysis on whether these companies or the transactions are indeed biotech or pharma or medical device transactions, and you're going to eliminate transactions that are less than 25 million, for example, or are not life science companies. Here we have an electronics company, or some transactions that are undisclosed. Um, and right now I'm just looking at the SDC tab. You're going to do the same analysis for all the transactions in FactSet, and you'll see many duplicates, which makes sense because the different data providers should be pulling similar lists of similar transactions for M&A, and label these after you conduct your analysis. Label these as biotech, pharma, devices. You're also going to want to enter in your source here. Just type in, FS for FactSet or SDC here, just so you can, if you need to go back, once you consolidate everything, if you need to go back and check a transaction, you know where it came from. Um, Again, you will do the same thing for Capital IQ. Here, it looks like Capital IQ, for example, it didn't provide any new transactions. So all these transactions either did not fit our criteria or were duplicates. Uh, Duplicates as compared to the SDC and FactSet data. After you go through these three different sources, you're going to consolidate your transactions into the consolidated tab. Follow this exact template here. Just use this when you're creating your own spreadsheet. Just make it so you can make it easy on yourself, and keep it consistent in terms of font and format. That way, it's legible. Keep your decimal points uh, consistent, and you're going to combine your relevant transactions from SDC, FactSet, and Capital IQ, and you're going to also paste in your transactions that you have marked for deletion from each of the three sources. So here I wrote marked for deletion, and I have SDC, Cap IQ transactions, and FactSet transactions. And this is what you will show to the managing directors, who will check your list of transactions for accuracy and whether you have categorized them correctly. And this consolidated file is you're essentially capturing all of you're analyzing all of the data for the relevant quarter that you are working on. So in this case, I'm looking at second quarter 2015. But now that we have combined all the data, um, have analyzed it, have our relevant transactions, and have received approval from the managing directors, we're going to go back to the shared drive, the life science trends data, the M&A folder specifically, and you're going to look for this file here, which says Life Science M&A 2Q 2015. And this is our all-time list, as I call it. This has many transactions over many years. And so we're going to click it, open, and we are on the tab called All Merger Deals. And as you can see, there are many rows and many transactions here going back many years. We're going to scroll to the top, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. You're going to create new rows for the appropriate amount of transactions you have. You're going to you're going to paste in your transactions following the format that is already laid out here that has been done in previous quarters. Just follow exactly what you see here, and you'll be in good shape. Um, Once you paste them in, make sure you fill out this data on the right. This is how we uh, get cumulative kind of totals for each type of transaction we're tracking. So you're going to want to type in the year, the acquirer location, target location. So U for United States, acquirer, for example, or for someone from Canada would be R for rest of the world, or from China it would be an A for Asia. Make sure you copy this formula in the cross-border section. That way you get a true or false output um, for each of the transactions to see if you indeed have a cross-border transaction. You're going to type in the relevant quarter. In this case, we're looking at the second quarter, so 2Q is the most recent. Then you have 1 and 4 and 3 and 2, and it repeats. And you're going to write quarter detailed. You're going to write 2015 and then the quarter, so 2 in this case. Here we see 2015 1, so the next one would be 2015 3. After you have done that, you're going to scroll to the right, and starting in column AQ all the way until column DR, you will see a list of numbers, a lot of zeros and ones, and other totals. This will tell you that these formulas are to count how many of each type of transaction we have. We've categorized the data, or we've split the data in different parts. As you can see, pharma acquisition by United States buyer, uh, uh, the percentage of cross-border transactions, for example, in biotech, medical devices, pharma, um, and there's many different categories. But it's important that you make sure you copy these formulas correctly, and you keep them consistent in order to accurately calculate the totals and capture the correct data. After you've copy and pasted all these formulas into the new cells, which would be up here, you're going to scroll down to the bottom of this. It looks like we're about around 1,900 rows down. And you'll start to see these kind of totals here, and you'll see years ranging from 1989 until say year to date or 2015. And this is similar to the financing Excel spreadsheet. This part will have the totals for each type of transaction, and this will serve as the data point for the actual charting. And you can see the charts here below, and we'll go through a couple of these. But again, before we go through the charts, it's very, very important that you make sure that these sums are accurate, that they are capturing the correct data, and they capture all of the data, including the new quarter you have just entered. It's really easy to miss uh, a cell because you didn't drag it to the correct place, and it can be tough because this spreadsheet is quite large. So make sure you just double check this portion. Once you capture the correct data, then you'll be in good shape. The charting part will be relatively easy. Let's see, I lost it. Where'd it go? There we go. A trick, if you get lost within the data, or, through scrolling, just zoom out and you can see where you need to go in the spreadsheet. So here you'll see a variety of charts looking at different things, as I mentioned before: M&A dollar volume, number of transactions by nation or continent, cross-border transactions. What else? Buyer locations. So there's many different charts here. So let's take a look at one of these. So here we see this chart. It has a peak of 71 for this year to date. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to look above to see where it's capturing the data. So this 71 here, this is capturing, as we see the boxes here, the blue box and the purple box. It's capturing in the x-axis the years, and in the y-axis it's capturing the medical device M&A transactions by equity value. So there have been $71 billion worth of transactions in the first 2 quarters of 2015. So that's what this means here. We can look at another one. Let's see this. Let's see. So this is biotech M&A, and we see there's 6 billion or 6.1 billion worth of M&A deals that have happened in the second quarter, through the second quarter for 2015. And you see here that you want to check, just make sure that the chart also shows that there's 6 billion worth of transactions against the data. And we'll look at a couple of other ones, or let's just see. So let's capture some of these different types of charts. So let's look at this one here. We're looking at number of transactions here and with different buyers. So let's see what this is exactly capturing. I'm going to click on this. So this is capturing U.S. targets. U.S. looks like U.S. pharma targets that have been acquired by U.S. buyers. So there's this shows 11. So let's see what this says. 11, and looks like 4 European buyers and 4, and then we have 0 for Asia and the rest of the world, and that's exactly what the chart shows. Let's look at this. Is different. So this is looking at cross-border versus domestic transactions, and let's see what this is capturing. Make sure it's accurate. So if we look above at the data, it's capturing pharma cross-border percentage versus the percentage of domestic transactions. It says 21% versus 79%. So, and we look at the chart, and that looks about accurate. So these are the types of checks you want to do. You want to always want to ask yourself, does this make sense? Is this chart capturing the right data? Does it look correct? Does it sound right? So keep questioning yourself through this process. And there's quite a few charts here. So as you go through the presentations, make sure you check. You'll be able to tell if you missed anything, because you'll get to that slide in the presentation and you'll realize it's still the old chart, or you don't have a new chart for it. So then just come back here and then see what you missed. And you should, between the two, you'll figure out if you've done it to completeness or not. So you'll notice some other tabs in here. We have multiples and top 10. We'll take a look at top 10 right now. So if you've done the chemicals one already, the chemicals trends, or you watch the chemicals trends video tutorial, this is essentially the same exact thing. You're literally capturing the top 10 transactions by equity value from the beginning of the year through the quarter you are working on. So the data you see on the screen captures the top 10 transactions that closed through from the beginning of the year through June 30th, or through the end of the second quarter. So the big headliner this year was Actavis acquiring Allergan. You see that at the top, and the top 10 transactions are here. So this process, doing this chart is rather manual. So you will just literally go to your merger deals, go back to your actual data, and examine or figure out what transactions look sizable, and you can figure out your top 10 and bring them in here. And so you'll notice some transactions are here. So that means they were here before, but with new deals that closed, they got pushed out, and so there was other transactions greater in value. So these guys didn't make the top 10, and that'll continue happening through the year until you get to the end of the year. And so this is pharma. Below you'll see biotech, and below that you'll see devices. And you will just do the same thing for all of them. Keep the formatting consistent, and that should be it for the top 10. We have another tab here called multiples. This is where we capture some of the financial data and show that in a chart, specifically the valuation multiples that were paid. So we have pharma multiples at the top. We have biotech multiples, medical device multiples, and so you will see this list here going from oldest. So we look here 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4 to the bottom. We see 2015, and where you have data, it won't be available for every transaction. That's why you don't see it for you only see a couple points essentially, or for each year. But where you have them, where you have data points, you're going to enter them here for each respective industry. So pharma, biotech versus devices, and you're going to enter the date of the transaction and the multiple. And when you do that, you're going to go to the corresponding chart, and you're going to you can click on any of these dots, and that will pull up the blue box and the purple box that show which data is being captured. Make sure you have captured the new transactions you have entered and the new dates, and you should be set. Follow the same procedure for biotech and devices. So you see here we have multiples laid out here, and same for devices. And you'll find the corresponding charts to the right, and just make sure again that you capture all of the relevant data. A part of the analysis you'll do of the M&A will be the announced but not closed transactions for life sciences as well. And if you've done chemicals already, again, it's a similar process. You're going to do a capital IQ screen, looking at a transaction screen, looking at pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and life sciences transactions that were announced in the quarter that is relevant to you, the most recent quarter. And you will also put another criteria in there for transaction values greater than 25 million. This should produce a list for you, and you're going to go through this list and analyze it similar to the other M&A transactions you did, and categorize the transactions as biotech, pharma, or device transactions, and you will likely eliminate many of them because they do not fall into those. But again, it's a similar analysis to the M&A, and you will have totals. You'll have totals for biotech, pharma, and devices that you will use in the presentation. Charts? I don't think there's charts in life sciences. Yeah. And so you'll just mention these written, not in a chart form in the presentation. But you can separate these out and mark the ones for deletion and place them together, and you can create get cumulative totals for pharma, biotech, and devices. So that should wrap up the M&A for life sciences, and you should be set from there. Make sure you check everything. You check all the charts against the presentation for completeness, and you double check everything because it's easy. It's very easy to miss something, and that should do it.